right. Welcome back to another episode of the Kitchen Table Podcast, where business is done. And we have got, honestly, one of my industry heroes. And probably if you listen to this podcast and you know a little bit about door to door, we've got Adam freaking Benson in the house, dude. The roof strategist with the mustache in the house. What is up, my brother?
Dude, it's good to be here, man. And it's good seeing you. Was it 2 weeks ago? Almost 3 weeks ago, something like that. Anyway, 3 weeks ago. So appreciate you having me on.
We saw each other in passing. It was just like glimpse stares of you on the stage, and you couldn't miss me in my purple suit.
I was just gonna say it, but you beat me to it because I know you'd messaged me on Instagram. You're like, I'll be there, and then you weren't there, and we were starting, and I see a guy with a purple suit come in. I'm like, there he is. There's Kenny.
I actually came in and I made a story because I had two podcasts that day, both of which, well, that's neither here nor there. But anyhow, I had to come in early to do one podcast with a guest similar to yourself, right? Very strict time requirements. And I'm like, man, there's no way I'm making both of these, but I can't leave my man hanging. So I'm going to stroll in with the purple suit late, dude. And that's exactly and I strolled right back out like an hour later because I had another podcast at lunchtime. So, but yeah, man, I'm so happy to have you on, man. I love your work and I love what you're doing for the industry.
Appreciate it.
And speaking of, everything that you're doing, I mean, you're a huge brand in all things roofing, definitely that I've noticed. The insurance roofers, man, they all love your stuff. The irony is how I found out about you, and I've been in this industry about 16 years now. All my guys, and they're like, oh yeah, we just watched the Roof Strategist stuff. I'm like, who the hell is the Roof Strategist, dude? Like, what do you mean? I've got stuff. What about my stuff, dude? And they're like, oh yeah, we just watch his stuff. And then I have a mutual friend of ours that appears who did get your trainings, and he swears by it. I just run that. I don't do anything. I don't teach anything. I just bought the Roof Strategist training, and that's all we do. So kudos to you, my friend. I consider myself something of a sales training aficionado, but you have definitely got your stuff together, man. I love it. I encourage everyone to check it out if they haven't. Having said that, how the hell did you get the bright idea to go from, I'm assuming you were in the industry before this, you told me you were CEO of a big company. Can you take us into that? Like, how did you go from that to what you are now? I mean, tell us that story.
Yeah. It was COO, Chief Operating Officer, but I'll give you.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Background. Yeah, no sweat, man. I just think that people hear things and just want to make sure everyone's got the right story.
Oh yeah. Like he's a liar.
Yeah. Right. I grew up wanting to be a roofer my whole life. No, I didn't. No one does.
I was getting ready to say, no kidding, dude. Okay.
Yeah, no, every speaking event, I'm like, raise your hand if you grew up wanting to be a roofer. And the only people that raise their hand that grew up wanting to be a roofer, it's because their dad was a roofer.
Yeah.
That's it. No one comes into this business on purpose. And I wasn't one of those people. So I did what I shouldn't say everybody. I do what many people tell you to do, which is do what you're passionate about. You'll make money in life and be happy. Right? Like, what a crock of garbage. Mm-hmm. But it's so funny. Again, I've asked thousands of people this live on stage. Who's heard this advice? Everyone raises their hand. Who thinks it's true? No one's hand stays up. And at that point, so I'm getting my undergrad in psychology. I didn't even want to go to college. I was encouraged to do it because that was like the thing that you do, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I chose this school that was like the furthest thing from school that school can get. Decided to get my undergrad because I thought it was really neat to I'm like, I'll just go study myself. Like, I'll just learn I just want to study psychology to learn personal development. And then I learned through doing that, the more I learned myself, I learned how to connect more deeply with others through self-reflection. Mm-hmm. And getting my undergrad, I went through this natural medicine modality that helped me through some personal stuff, both physical and emotional. And I said, I'm going to give this gift to the world. I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to learn how to do this modality. So I went all in on it. I ended up out at the New Mexico School of Natural Therapeutics. I got certified in that modality, which was core synchronism. I studied a whole bunch of quackery stuff from radionics, polarity therapy, reflexology, massage therapy, and then colon hydrotherapy. For those that don't know what that means, that is butt flushing. So
I heard the word colon and water, and I was like, huh.
Yeah, colon hydrotherapy. I was a butt flusher. And to add insult to injury, I was a broke butt flusher, which is a really crappy way to make a living. And I ended up starting my own private practice, and which is easy. You give the government some money, you get an LLC, rent an office space, get a cool brand. But I was missing the one thing, which is clients. So to make ends meet, now that I had overhead in this business with no one to pay the bills, I got a job at a local massage therapy franchise, which, by the way, massage wasn't really my thing. Like, It's my least favorite, but I needed to do it to pay the bills. And it did not pay the bills. I was at a massage therapy franchise earning, they were collecting near $100 per massage, and I was paid $15, and not everyone tipped. And I was required to be on site for 6 hours, but I only got paid when I was booked. So I could drive my gas guzzling truck 45 minutes to the office, sit there, have 2 massages, no one tips, drive 45 minutes home after 6 hours, work 7.5 hours total, and walk away with $30.
Wow.
And that was in 2011. So I was living below the poverty line. I was on a very strict $4.20 a day grocery budget. And when I couldn't afford to get gas to go visit family, which was a 2-hour drive from home, my stepdad was on the phone, and I didn't know what my parents did, or my stepdad did, because my parents, they divorced later in life. So I wasn't living with Ron knowing what he did. And he's like, hey man, you can make $100,000 a year selling roofs door to door. And he came from the business. And I was like, that sounds miserable, dude. I don't know anything about roofs. I don't know anything about sales, and going door to door sounds like the world's worst job.
Oh yeah.
So I brushed it off. I had 4 hours of drive time to think about it, get home, jump on Craigslist, start looking around. I'm like, it's real. Fast forward, I end up falling into the business through this recommendation from Ron, which, by the way, I tell him about this. I wrote about it in my book, which I don't have any copies. I just gave them out this week. But my book, The Roofing Sales Survival Guide, How to Beat the Odds, Overcome Yourself, and Win Big. And I got into it. I didn't know anything. Finally started figuring this out, failing hard, failing fast, failing forward. Worked my way up through the ranks. My first 8 months, I had smashed my income goal. Filled every single position in this business except for 2, accounting and installation. I never did installs because why would I go backwards? And I never did accounting because I was in the same math class 4 years in a row. So answers on both. And I kept doing what I was doing. I worked my way up, become chief operating officer of a company operating in 5 states and 6 cities. And man, frankly, I just burned out. I stopped doing the things I loved, which was helping people use this industry to change their lives. And I started doing all the things I don't love. I like sitting and dealing with our legal affairs and putting out all the fires and having my phone ring 100 times and having 30 salespeople calling on me all the time. And it felt like every day I was getting pulled in one direction or the other. And I was like, man, my passion is really helping people use this industry to change their lives. So that's when I made the shift to this side. And quite a few series of events had me accidentally stumble upon this thing that I didn't even intend to be doing as I'm doing it. And I'm in love with what I do now. And I'm able to help people use this industry to change their lives, and run the Roof Strategist YouTube channel and podcast, which is the most followed in the industry with millions of views. And I've trained tens of thousands of roofing sales reps. And my system's being used in every single state in the US, Canada, Australia, even Sweden, from companies that are just getting going to quite a few of some of the largest private equity portfolio groups in the industry. And that's the condensed version.
Yeah, I would imagine. But I've heard that beginning story. Well, you know what? Not entirely, because the massage therapist and butt flusher parts were definitely unique. So I will give you that. But, the whole and I've heard the very similar beginning sound very, very similar for solar guys, right? Some of the most successful guys that I know in door to door had no, college guys, whatever, right? But just kind of stumble into this. But what you said was usually what it is. Someone somewhere was like, hey, either I'm making this money, or I heard you can make a lot of money. Then there's that healthy dose of skepticism. Then there's the due diligence period. Find out it's real. And you're like, whoa. And then if you're anything like me, you do a little scope of the land, like, well, if that guy's doing it, you know what I mean? Like,
you're like, you compare, like, if he can do it, this thing is totally in the bag.
You go scope the land, you're like, well, the average sum of these guys collectively, they probably have like a 9th, maybe 10th grade reading level. So I'm going to go ahead and assume, no, I'm just kidding. But there is definitely the door-to-door stigma at the very least. People assume like, oh, no way. But it's just, dude, it can be absolutely life-changing. And what you said, I mean, it's life-changing.
If you want uncommon results, you got to do uncommon things. And the least common thing you can do is jump into door-to-door sales, because most people aren't willing to do it. And that's why there's a saying that we had exchanged as consultants. This was way back. And I remember, I don't know if there's any truth to this, but it's a good fable that someone ran an ad saying, earn $200,000 a year shoveling chicken crap. And people are like, hell yeah. So they all apply and they're sitting in and they say, hey guys, listen, group interview. I got good news. You don't need to shovel chicken crap. All you got to do is go knock doors, and everybody gets up and leaves.
Oh, that is, I'm stealing that one, but I totally
Yeah.
believe that. How many guys, right? You know, they're like, oh man, this guy's making a killing back when you were doing that. And you're like,
Yeah.
you can do it too, man. And then they come in. And that's why I don't do the bait and switch stuff, man. You know what I mean? Like, just tell them what it is. Because the second that you get in and then you're like, well, it's field marketing or it's
No.
whatever, dude. You know what I
You
mean?
got to
Like,
tell
it's
them you're
knocking
going to hate.
doors.
You're going to hate your job. You're going to want to quit, and you're not going to like going to work every day. But you're going to become a very good version of you, the best version of you. You're going to lean into your discomfort, face your inner demons, and get paid a bunch of money for growing personally. So if you want to jump in on that journey, you're going to kill it. And if you're not, go take a desk job somewhere.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's really, you know, and I think the biggest disservice some of these guys and gals do, is come in, kill it, and then take their foot off the gas because they made a good, you know, they made more money than they've ever made probably in that last month. And now, like, you know, I'm just going to rest this month. And then they play that game. It's just, that's the most unfortunate, because you could keep that up and you could change the course of yours and your family's lives and everybody else's around you for the, you know what I mean, foreseeable future, if you just had that in you, like yourself.
Yeah.
How long was it from, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, to knocking doors to COO? That was a couple of years, right? Or not?
Yeah,
Even?
about 3, I think, total. And I filled many positions before. I mean, I was in sales and still running an office, and then I was in sales and running production, and then I was in sales and general manager, and then I was just general manager, and then regional manager, and then worked my way up. But from knocking doors to not knowing what I was doing, that was pretty quick. That was like the same day. Like I just still didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I learned a lot, and I earned that position. I actually have never shared this story before. It's never come up, but I earned that position because we had 5 offices, and my office that I was then managing, we were having guys come in from other offices because we had an influx of work and we needed help. And I'm sitting in there getting all of our production stuff done and all this. And I'm like, the hell is this document? Like, that's what we use for our production and our job work orders. And I'm like, well, what the heck is this document? And this guy's like, well, that's what we use for our contingency. And I'm like, but ours is different. Like, aren't we the same company? and we had fragmented leadership. And by the way, this was back before CRMs were a thing in the roofing space.
Oh, wow.
You know, where I'd get a phone call and I would have to be like, hey, can I get your name as a customer? I'd have to drive 45 minutes to the office, rifle through the job files, hope they were put together in the right way, look for their name by last name, you know, pull it out, be like, okay, the job was done here. Warranty's still valid. Okay, Javier did this job. Give Javier a call, see if we can get him out. Like, this was like the old school way of doing things. So I sat down and I was like, all right, we can do this better. And I cracked the code to running everything out of a corporate office. We had just started getting this shortly thereafter, getting into a CRM, but it wasn't until after I did this, compiled the best of the best, met with leadership from everywhere. And I was like, you're using this document, it's better than ours. What's your system for this? Okay. So then I compiled literally a 3-ring binder of what we called the company Bible. And it's like, this is what we're going to run by. And I went up to Jesse, the owner, and I'm like, hey man, we're going to run this out of one office. We don't need 5. We can trim the fat. And I think we can do this from one location. And we ended up doing it. And I just kind of I ran the business like it was mine. You know, I kept taking that initiative to solve bigger problems and put us in a position for growth.
Which is, if you're listening to this and you're an entrepreneur, take notes, right? Like, any owner, I can speak for myself, and my God, please, if you're listening to this and you're on my team, please, by all means, show said initiative. That would be lovely, right? Like, hey man, I see this, and this, especially as ownership, right? You know, I don't know if you're definitely familiar with the EOS model, but you know, I'm your quintessential visionary. And as such, I mean, that is where I sit. But you need, when you find out what that really means, and subsequently the other end of that, which is like, well, hey, these are all great things. These things not so great, and that's okay. But like, we want some compliments there. I'm sure, let's say that guy was a visionary, and then someone like yourself instantly strikes me as like possibly one of the few that would test visionary and also integrator, right? So like, And that's very rare, right? Because you've got the discipline, you've got the organizational strengths, and you're smart. I mean, I heard you, most of the words you listed off in the first 30 seconds of this conversation. I was like, okay. The big brain on Adam over here. That's there we go. There we go. Right. Like I'm trying to keep up. I'm just nodding my head like, yeah. I heard whatever the word was for butt and water, and that was about it. Uh, but in all seriousness, man, that's just perfect model. Take the initiative, go in, work your butt off. And I would imagine you were probably pretty well compensated as a COO, and maybe even came with some options. Back then, I would guess that probably wasn't something that was really thought of, but
it's
like
a different landscape then. Private equity wasn't gobbling up roofing companies.
Right.
You know, a roofing owner's voice mailbox, physical mailbox, and email inbox wasn't bombarded with 5 to 10 PE firms a day.
Yeah, which if you're listening to this, that's 100% where the landscape is, which brings me, by the way, to my next question. So I've seen your trainings, they're phenomenal. And I could go on and on about that. My biggest thing would be currently, what do you think? So here's the thing, right? So I'm insurance restoration, but I started in 08 at a company called Power Home Remodeling Group, which is full retail, traditional retail in the traditional sense. And it's a one call close business model, still setter closer, and great ran company, right? Learned everything I could possibly ever hope to learn. Definitely more hammer and nail, but great. Because that was back in the days of like, you stay till the police get called. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to get real uncomfortable. Now, I'm sure they don't do that, by the way, anymore. And they were a wonderful company, and I was being facetious in that exact terminology. But we wanted to, it was a lot more aggressive, right? And things aren't just like that anymore, or just aren't like that anymore. To that point, what would you say if you were starting a roofing company, or just the state of retail versus insurance? Because it seems like this mass exodus of like, unless you're one of the big retail powerhouses, everyone just goes, and I could assume why, right? Like, but what do you think about that? The retail versus insurance restoration model. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on just.
You need both. There's only one true market in the United States, which is the West Coast, Washington, Oregon, California, that they seldom see claims. There's some folks in Southern California catching on to this, working wind claims. I was speaking up in Oregon. There's a guy working very tiny hailstorm that hit on the eastern part of the state. But that market, that is diehard retail. Then you've got some parts of the Northeast that are still, to this day, I go out and speak, and they're like, we're retail companies, we're retail companies, we're retail companies. I'm going to speak in Knoxville next week. And again, very, very heavy retail market. Meanwhile, the entire Midwest, and I'll classify the Midwest from Colorado through dipping down into New Mexico, sometimes Arizona, not as much, all the way across to Ohio, Pennsylvania. Those companies, for the most part, the lion's share of them are heavily driven on storm environments. Now, there are companies in there, by the way, in those states that are solely retail. But when I'm out speaking at events, people are raising what percentage of your business is storm, what percentage is retail. I very seldom see people that raise their hand and say, we only do retail, which is interesting, is in Florida, I do see a lot of companies that are only doing retail. And then at the other time, I see people that are only doing storm. And then, of course, there's your hybrids. But I think that a healthy company, you would be silly to not know both, because I know that we had our very best year in business. My Christmas bonus was a 1991 Corvette ZR1, my dream car as a kid, fastest production car made. And then the very next year, we had our worst year in business. And that's because the storms that we counted on didn't happen. It was nothing. And the same thing, a lot of Denver companies, there's only a few Denver companies up until this year, because we got like 5 massive storms. There's a 3-year dry spell. And this is a market that was counted on Dallas, Texas size hail year over year for a long time. And then dry. And a lot of companies closed their doors. A lot of companies, actually, I shouldn't say close their doors. I'm sure some did, but I know a lot of companies that I talked to dropped their revenue in about half. A few grew because they were smart, knew how to do it. And there was a massive demand to learn retail. But then what happens is a storm company that's learning retail, they jump ship and forget everything they were taught. And then they jump into the storm environment when it comes, because you got to make hay when the sun shines. But at the end of the day, the intimidation factor from both is It's what we don't know that's scary. So the storm guys say, I don't know how to sell retail. It's different. It's a daunting process. How do I close the business? I don't know how to do financing. The retail guy says, storm is daunting. It's more work. I have to meet with the insurance company. I don't understand insurance paperwork. What's a supplement? And that it's what we don't know that keeps them from it, which is why when I developed my sales system, it is the exact same sales process for both. Whether you're selling storm or retail, the only thing that changes is some of the language we use, but it's the same exact process, which allows you to build a hybrid team, which is why so many, especially the larger companies, will use my system, because they're like, well, we want our team to be able to sell both. Yeah. Because they struggle a bit too hard with one model versus the other. And I see with changing times, we're going to be seeing a lot more retail need as carriers in certain states are limiting coverage. You know, you get companies, you know, multiple states now starting in Florida. Your roof's over 10 years old, Mr. Homeowner, we're dropping your insurance unless you get a new roof. You know, it cracks me up because all these roofers are so mad at the insurance companies, which, believe me, I wish they played nicer and did what was right. But at the same time, they just created an entire market for us. They literally just created a market to say roofs now last 10 years because we're going to make people buy them. So now there's an entire new opportunity that exists in that landscape. So we're going to see a requirement, I believe, in the next 5 to 10 years. We're going from companies that could grow being order takers in the storm damage environments to strong sales organizations are going to be the ones that actually survive, and the other people are going to start slowly drown out.
That was actually my next question, was, you know, the future of the storm. And I say this with a vested interest, but I can tell you candidly that I myself, given my background, I've always jokingly said, like, you know, if that does happen, you know, because I'm confident because of where I come from, like, I can look around the landscape here and know what they say. When I say they, being anyone else that I've spoken to that does insurance, like, well, we do retail, but to them, what retail would be is very different than what I know it to be. And there's a combination between the two. I get that, where perhaps you're not able to get it bought entirely, and you use some of the proceeds to get and then finance the other half. I get that. But when I say retail, I mean an entirely different play, right? Like, that's upfront costs, lead acquisition, unless you do door. Either way, you know, it's just a different, where are you spending the money? How quickly is the process? But to your point, I do the very same thing. I set up building value, creating urgency, all of those same things that I'm going to do. It's just, when's the close, right? In my opinion, in the insurance side, there's multiple closes. You're closing at the door. You're closing when you file a claim. You're continuing to close, and you're closing when you get that contract, the ACV, and all the way up until you close and get the final check, right? So it's certainly, what was my point in all of this? I'm concerned about the longevity of the storms, right? And what I mean by that is what you said in Florida, you know, it's going to be legislature and things like that. But what do you think the future is in storms? And you said 5 years.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's going to be changing. I mean, I think the threats we face are purely economic. And I can break that down into two categories. One, our economy at large, interest rates are skyrocketing. There are massive shifts going on. I don't know if I'm in a position, if there's the news is out, but there's a few, well, let's just put it this way. The fintech space just got a grenade thrown into it. And if you haven't caught wind of it yet, by the time this episode airs, you will. So we are facing really turbulent times, as they say. Interest rates are going up. The price of roofing is doubling every 5 years in today's economy, with quarterly rate increases of 7 to 12%, which is nuts, because a decade ago, if you got one, you get one rate increase for 4 to 6%. And if it was 6%, you thought hell froze over. And now it's not quarterly. Sometimes it's even, excuse me, more than quarterly. Storms aren't going to change. The weather patterns aren't going anywhere. I'm not concerned about it. So anyway, I'll tell you why I'm not concerned after I tell you the threats. The economy's changing. Price of roofing is going up. Next threat, insurance carriers, coverage concerns, percentage of home value, deductibles, high deductibles, special deductibles, exclusions. Next concern, insurance carriers wanting to double dip. Let's be real. It wouldn't be hard for them to start a roofing company, and now they can profit from the losses and provide their own network and say, hey, you know, we'll do if you use our network, you'll get $3,000 off. And they run those companies, and now they're double dipping and paying themselves. And like, that's the smart thing to do it. And consumers don't know the wiser, and they can pull their little influence lever saying, hey, we're the big insurance company. You should just listen to us, believe us. We have a great organization that can take care of your roof repairs. So I see that as a threat. But at the end of the day, storm damage creates a need that is sudden, that is urgent, and people are going to need roofs. And I'm not concerned about it, because so far as I've seen, at scale, I know that there's new technology coming out and class 4 shingles and all that, but I also know that not everyone's going down that road. And I also know that not all class 4 shingles are going to resist every single hailstorm. So they'll be there. The need for roofing will always be there, whether it's too expensive or not. And the smart companies and the savvy companies are going to learn how to provide valuable solutions to homeowners and commercial property owners that need help. And if you're willing to ride the wave, I always look at a crisis as an opportunity. Like, great, this is fantastic. All these people are freaking out and they're going to go under. How do I scrape this up? I actually don't like when things are going well. That freaks me out. When things go well, I'm freaked out. When things aren't going well, I'm excited.
That's I had a meeting with my team Monday, and I won't go too into it because we want to hear from you. But basically, I had gone to Texas, and one of my business associations, without getting in too much detail, there's a gentleman that owns one of the largest private armies in the world, and he's over there right now dealing with some of the things that would affect our economy and, well, a global economy.
Yeah,
and it doesn't look great.
By the way,
there's
and I've seen him speak. He's a very, very smart guy.
And he is brilliant, dude. He's the most interesting. He's literally the most interesting guy in the world. Yeah. Very unassuming in that regard. And I never knew until I knew. And then I'm like, he was always so nice to me. Will message, text me. A lot of people will big time, he doesn't ever do that. Coming on here. Anyhow, message me personally. He also has a way of delivering things, very matter of fact. And it's like coming from him, like, man, that's scary. But the point is, A, it's being a realist, and B, what could that mean? And to your point, look, man, what does that really change, right? Like, we've got to deal with the cards that were dealt. And do we just pack up, go home, or go hide somewhere? Or do we try to make the best of this? And I know that may sound, what other way is there to play it?
Yeah. Right? It's an infinite game, man. That's the beauty of business. It's an infinite game. So I have to attribute that to Simon Sinek. His book, Infinite Game, really it inspired me quite a lot, because a finite game has fixed rules. You want to play football? There's rules. Number of players, how the ball moves, what the flags are. It's fixed. Business is an infinite game. There's no rules. There's no winner. You can be on top and go to the bottom. One of the largest roofing companies right now looks like they're knocking at the door of bankruptcy. I'm not saying names because I don't know the whole facts yet, and I don't want to spill the beans on if those facts are true or not true. But the writing doesn't look so good on the wall. And the reason I say that it's an infinite game is the games of business change daily. You look at imagine being a cab driver, and then Uber shows up. How many cab companies do you know? They fought that tooth and nail. And roofing is no different. We see technology coming in, instant estimates, AI. We've got a new aerial imagery and forensic imagery to identify hail damage and roof damage. And all this technology is there, and the rules change, and we just got to change with it. And you got to figure out how do you stay one step ahead. And what most people overlook, I think, is that they keep thinking, how can I make money? And it's the dumbest way to approach business in the history of humanity. If you're thinking, how can I make money? You're a moron, and you're going to be a failure. And most importantly, you're a selfish, greedy person. A smart business owner thinks one question: what problem can I solve? And when you look at the problems you can solve, you come up with solutions. You solve expensive problems, you make good money. You solve cheap problems, you don't make good money. So as the roofing business gets more competitive, as the financial pressure looms, the problems become more expensive. Learn how to solve those problems really well and deliver a boatload of value, and the riches will drown you with thank you notes. Yeah. The customers that say, hey, thanks for doing my roof, man. I really appreciate it. You guys did a great job. That's the thank you note that I'm looking to collect. So what I look at now is I'm not chasing money. I'm not chasing growth by a dollar amount. I'm looking to collect as many thank you notes as I can of people that say, Hey, dude, thanks for changing my life. Thanks for helping me go from $25,000 a year to 200. I can't believe that I just saved up enough money to pay off all my debt. I'm debt free for the first time in my life. Just bought my first house, getting married. My wife doesn't need to work. We're raising a family. So that's the big win. And in roofing, it's no different. It's the homeowner that thanks you because they were horrified facing the most expensive problem on their home, on the single most expensive maintenance item on their home. And you're the one that came in like a hero and made it easy. You took care of them, So I don't know. I think chasing money is greedy and it's a poor way to start business. And just ask yourself, what problems can I solve?
That's very, very good advice. I think the overall demographic here, with the exception of a few, is probably year 1 through 5 and sales guys and aspiring entrepreneurs, right? And what he's saying is just so smart. Basically, I hear all these guys, and I just had to tell one of he's a mentee of mine, and I love him to death. But he's like, I'm going to go make millions. I want to make millions. And I'm like, I want me too, buddy. I would also like to make millions. That would be amazing. But that is, and look, a million's not what it used to be. But my point is, I don't even think, to your point, like, hey, all right, here's the overall plan, what things need to happen in between. But to your point, that's exactly what I was talking about, because that's what actually he said was like, how can you provide more value than the next guy? What is it about you? And this is, by the way, he was referring to, how do you separate yourself, right? Like in an economy, if we do incur hyperinflation or any of these things, and you're right. I mean, in many ways in roofing, kind of already there. I mean, it could get worse, but my God, like, first few years, we averaged like 2 price increases, maybe a year. And even then that was like, this is crazy, and now it's like 2 prices increases a month, right? Like it's literally doubled. It's just insane. So, this is great advice. I can see why, by the way, Adam, you're probably one of the smartest roofers I've talked to in a long time. Just intellectually, I've met some very good businessmen, and I'm sure you are as well. But just purely, I could talk to you all day, man. You said you wrote a book, by the way, and that's something that I embarrassingly, I think I did actually see that. But could you say that again?
It's called the Roofing Sales Survival Guide. Beat the odds, overcome yourself, and win big.
Okay,
And it made it to the #1 bestseller list in the sales and selling category in under 24 hours on purely organic sales. I didn't plan that. And it was funny. Some guy asked me on LinkedIn, some marketer, of course, but let's be real. Anyone can be a best-selling author because you can buy this crap. Like it's a meaningless badge. And for many it is. To me, it meant a lot because I didn't pay for it and I didn't market it. And so this guy posted, he's like, what was your marketing strategy? So I was like, it was really simple, man. I just spent 8 years or so making really great content and developing a really great relationship with the people that I serve. And then I wrote a book and I announced it. It's the cheat code. Go start today. It only takes 8 years.
There you go.
And it cracks me up. And it's so funny because everyone's looking for the trick or the hack. And like the first person I told, because I remember we were coming up, it was on Alex Hormozy's book. We were right behind. I was in the #2 position for $100 million offers.
Oh, it's a great book.
And I'm like, when I saw this, because I'm like, hell yeah. Like I'm checking Amazon. We're on #1 release. I'm like, we made it. Like, what the hell? All I did was send like one email out and I posted up a story on my personal Facebook being like, it's out there. And I didn't even have a launch plan. Actually, I did, but I didn't follow it because John who's on my team, was flying to the United States. He lives in the UK. And I got the notice that we got approved finally. And I was like, I can't wait. I'm just going to tell the world, like, I didn't care what this thing did. That's not why I wrote it. I didn't write it for me. I wrote it for people. And then we're chasing on Hormozy's heels. And I'm like, we're right behind Hormozy. I'm like, that's a win. Like to me, that's a win. And then Jim Aline of Roofer Marketers, who's a fellow mentor in my mastermind, he commented on my LinkedIn. He goes, no, you're not. You're #1. And I rechecked. I'm like, holy crap. How did this happen? And the support was overwhelming. And we've been selling copies to people who aren't even in roofing, and I've been getting great feedback from folks like that. You don't have to be in roofing to find this value. Like the gold nuggets are there for whatever it is you're selling. And actually, I just shared on my Instagram story. Someone had posted a picture reading it just today. But yeah, man, my heart and soul went into that book, and I gave the roofing industry something that no one else has done to date, which is sharing what it's like to battle the mental and emotional landscape that is a career in roofing sales.
Yeah.
Because that's what people don't prepare you for. And that's why 2 out of 3 roofing sales reps quit or get fired.
The roller coaster.
Yeah. So quite a lot of companies have purchased it for their entire company. They're doing book clubs, and now it's become required reading for their new hires.
Yeah, I think that we'll do the same, man. I mean, honestly, I've been just so impressed with what you have out there, and I didn't even, I heard you say the word mastermind, and I'd seen a lot of your different content. So what one is it that you have? I've seen many different courses you have. Is that the same thing?
No, it's not. And you haven't seen it because I suck at marketing it. And the other reason I don't, I go back and forth. I want to start putting it out there more, but I really only want the right people in it. So it's called the
You
Pitch
don't
Pro
have.
Movement.
Okay, wait a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's called the Pitch. I'll tell you all about it. It's
Okay.
called the Pitch Pro Movement. It's a community and mastermind. So I've got my flagship training, and that's like the playbook, right? So you get the playbook. You want to know what the top team in the NFL, the plays they run, get the playbook. If you have the playbook, you're going to be set up on game day one day with the perfect offensive play. The defense has called a different play, and you're like, crap, we need to call an audible. What do we do? So when you have those moments, you need on-the-fly coaching, you need on-the-fly support, you need those game day decisions, and those game day decisions, you need help through those, and you need them now. That's what my community and mastermind is for. So I'm in there. I have 5 coaches total, myself, Deshaun Bryant of Roof Hustlers, Jim Aline of Roofer Marketers, John Cenac. Most folks know John Cenac, and then Cody Landels, who's my partner on the Roof with Solar side. And we run 140 interactive sessions a year. There's 2 to 4 a week. We have a private app and discussion board, amazing companies in there that people are sharing their contracts, their SOPs, their hiring protocols, pay plans. Like, we have sections for owners only, leadership only, sales reps only. When you have a question, you post in it, and you get those. Like, the cool thing, I was so humbled. One day a member posted, and he goes, "Man, how do you pay your crews?" And I gotta admit a character flaw right now. Okay. I thought to myself, what a stupid question. And I thought to myself that out of complete arrogance, because I always paid our crews the same way, a flat price per square with adders. And then I realized I had a big old slice of humble pie because 5 companies immediately posted 5 different ways to pay their crew. And this was early in the group. And I'm sitting there being like, I'm an idiot and an a-hole. And like, there's so many different ways to do things. And we have retail only companies. We have storm only companies. We have hybrid companies. We have companies using the inside out sales model, companies running things cradle to grave, companies that are successful in all different models. And it's so cool having great people come together with the one interest of, I'm going to get by giving, and they're going to support each other through it. And they're going to share what's working for them. So that's why I say it's not for everyone. I've had people come be like, do you have anyone from this market? I'm like, if you're asking me that question, you're not a good fit for the group.
Right.
If you're coming into me saying, hey, would you have anyone else in Dallas? Yeah, we have a lot of roofers from Dallas, and none of them shy away from sharing absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the mastermind.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I love it. We have a private members only in-person event. We just did it this year. It was our first one. And it was a huge success. I'm like overjoyed with how it went, and I can't wait for next year.
You're doing another one next year, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you what, man. And I would love to be there. I mean, I'm admittedly several years behind you in what I hope to be something similar. I mean, I don't know. I mean, dude, you've really made your mark here. But, for me, my passion was always, and I have a consulting company where it's like, oh, I want to just train salespeople. Like, that was it. I had a very vague idea behind like how I was going to, but ultimately it went back into, well, here I am, I'm a GC, and I've done this now 4 times, but this is the first time where it's just myself exclusively as a sole owner. Right. Having said that, it's awesome to see you literally the playbook of like, oh, wow, this guy's quite literally doing the things that, speaking on the stages. Oh, and your relationship with Owens Corning. Congratulations there, man. That's huge. I thought that was a big get for them. I jokingly, I said, well, I tell you what, when Adam, if he big times you, I'll give you a good deal on me coming in. And Genesis thought that was hilarious. But in all seriousness, no, my speaking of engagements are sincerely here and there. Whereas I can imagine between your masterminds, you're speaking with OC and who knows what else. I mean, how often are you even home?
Not that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like that?
months of the year, I'm home a lot more. In the, my off season is the opposite of roofers. I'm busiest in Q4, tail end of Q3, Q4, Q1 are nonstop, and trickling into Q2. So I get Q2, some of Q2 and some of Q3. And I just don't travel. I don't take, like, if you try to hire me, then I'm not coming, because I'm recovering from being just constantly on the road. And obviously it's a lot, man. I tell people I have 3 full-time jobs. I'm a full-time speaker, trainer. I'm a full-time content creator, and I'm a full-time business owner. I got to run my team and run our business and update my programs and still innovate and develop. I've got sitting on my journal right next to me a massive monumental project and about to kickstart of new things that, again, you need time to do. And like yesterday coming home, I had an 11-hour travel day after 2 back-to-back 7-hour speaking experiences, that I traveled between, and it's getting in late, and they're long days, and you got to keep your mind, and as your mind and body fresh for a big output. And I used to be someone that would just be like full throttle on the gas. And I would go till the point that I would break down and be like, I'm done. Like, I'm going on vacation for a week. I'm turning my phone off. And that's not a healthy way to live. So I'm trying to find that position where I can stay on the gas until I don't stay on the gas consistently, finding my marathon pace. Yeah. How can I do this and keep doing it? And keep towing the line, man.
Yeah, hey, brother, I'm just gonna keep following and watching gentlemen like yourself. And I mean, I have a microcosm probably of what you have, but I have the 3 verticals. I have my own mastermind coaching group, and I don't mean to say that minimizingly. It's much more of a free group currently than it is, the paid side of things. But I'm okay with that right now, man. My time, I'm big making sure that the value is there, and not to say that it wouldn't be, but my time commitments, we kind of just focus on the level 1 right now, because I know that I can give that couple hours a week until the focus is the baby, and the baby's success therefore adds a legitimacy to the things I want to pursue in the future. Right. So it is what it is. And I am not complaining. I am more than happy to be where I'm at and be able to learn from gentlemen like yourself, man. And really, I have one that I want to know, by the way. Door to door, is it dead? Do you think? I mean, because I'm a staunch like door to door is my by the way, to me that's the only way to go. However, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so. Even though I train and so on, I definitely don't think it's the only way to go. But here's the deal: for anyone who wants more, by the way, I just put up a video on YouTube called "Is Door to Door Dying?"
By the way, that's exactly where I got this question. So I thought you would click that. I thought that would click at first. Like, what a stupid question. I'm just kidding.
I mean, man, I put out so much content. I didn't.
Yeah, brother, I got it from you. However, it was a great one. So
yeah, door to door is not dead, and it cracks me up. I made that video for those that didn't see it, because some dude responded to the email announcement, and he was so snarky. He's like, I have to unsubscribe because door is the dumbest way to ever get business. And people are in a digital world, period. No one wants to have their door knocked. And I put that up on my personal Facebook. I'm like, thanks. I'll tell that the company I train that's doing $60 million a year and spends virtually no money on marketing. I'll let them know that they should stop. Their business is a complete failure. Listen, in sales, when we're selling a product, we have to understand our audience, and they have a level of awareness of their problem. And when we look into the digital landscape, we have people, if I jump online and my roof leaks, like right now, the fireplace next to me, my wood fireplace is leaking. Okay. For the 3rd time. It's driving me nuts. And it's a long story, but you're going somewhere with this. So I have this leak, right? What do? I jump on Google and I search and I find the person to come fix it. So I have a high level of awareness of my problem. But in door-to-door sales, it is direct sales. And in the storm environment, up to 90% of customers had no idea that they even had a problem when we reach out, which means the entire market, like an entire business. And I just surveyed some folks. So this last week, I spoke in Raleigh. I spoke in Richmond, Virginia. I was in Cedar Rapids the week before. I was in Baltimore. Heading out to Knoxville here in just a minute. everyone, I'm in Knoxville, so I can't speak about that, but everyone in those markets that's working storms, I said, what percentage of homes do you serve where the person had no idea they had a problem before you showed up? And the average numbers, no one, by the way, no one mentioned below 50%. Most said 65 to 90%. So that entire market, when you think that you're in the digital world, dude, they won't click an ad because you're selling a solution to a problem they're not even aware of. Like, people are billboard blind. So no, door to door is not dead. And if you think it is, great, because you're going to make it easier for me and everyone else that's doing this to go get that business. And I don't think door to door is going to die at any point in our near future. Do I think it could get less competitive because people are trying other stuff? Absolutely, because people don't want to do it. Do I think legislation, like, you're just going to get younger kids, excuse me, I'm going to be a total butthead here, our up and coming generation that their main goal is to be Insta famous. All they want to do is get acknowledgement and recognition online, and they want the easiest, fastest way to do it. And they want fame, and people are like, how do I get to what you do? How do I speak as smooth as you do? I'm
Tomorrow.
like, dude, just go make 1,000 videos. It'll happen overnight. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Those people won't do it. The people who are willing to do this work are a dying breed, and they're leaving so much money out there for the folks like us who are willing to go do that work and serve the people that don't know they have a problem. So excuse me for getting on my high horse. You cranked the passion up on that question. Hell no, door to door is not dying. And anyone who tells you otherwise is telling you this for one of two reasons. They don't know how to knock doors at all, or they're horrified of it, and they won't be willing to tell you that they're afraid to go knock a door.
And I love the guys that come in to your own business. And I love, and I know but they're always like, not always, but you get the car salesman or whomever, right? That sees the money, they come in and they try to like as if they're the first. It's this novel concept. Like, have you ever thought of not knocking doors? Perhaps SEO, Facebook. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm like, man, you know what? I haven't
real
done
head
this
scratcher.
all wrong. Right. Yeah.
I never getting leads, No, I didn't actually.
Right. Never thought of that. Nope.
Yeah.
You know what? You're probably right. That's probably way easier and way more successful. In fact, I'm sure the cost per acquisition is even better, even though this is zero. But I love it, man. And I could talk to you all day, brother. I really could. But I have one parting, because I know your time is precious, and it's typically 45, give or take. However, if it's rolling, we're rolling. I just know your time is a lot more condensed than my own. But a lot of you mentioned it, man. Let's just be candid here, right? The up and coming generation, and I say this with love, but I have family members and I have people that I mentor. I don't know where and what, and it's probably our fault. It's probably our generation's fault, or maybe the generation, the generation just before us. But somewhere, somehow, this false sense of like, I don't know, you're owed something, or it's just, if you just took the time. Let me get off my high horse because I'm getting ready to go on a rant. My point is, what advice, Adam, would you give to this next generation of roofers, or somebody that just doesn't see the opportunity? Perhaps they do. Perhaps they're the rarity, and they're going to go out and just blow past, by the way, everybody, because he's absolutely right. Everyone else, they're the ones pitching me on, have you ever thought about this? Right. But if you're willing to go and you're willing to hit those doors, what's the advice you'd give to the up and coming roofer right now, today's market, knowing the issues and so on in the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah. The secret to success is simple. Get really good at what you do, practice all the time, and don't let yourself get in your own way. And I think that the generation, it's instant gratification on your phone. Like, and I know I'm guilty of it. You put something up on social. What do you do in 5 minutes? Who liked it?
Yeah.
Who validated me?
Yeah.
And now we're in this world of insecurity where everyone thinks you're famous. And by the way, most of the social media analytics are absolute garbage. Like, I know countless people, even in the roofing space, that I've checked in their Instagram. I've had conversations with. They're good people too. And I'm like, dude, how did you end up? You got like 20,000 subscribers. Bought. How do you have all those YouTube videos? Bought. Or those YouTube views? Bought. I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because you had 8,000 views on that video. I know no one who knows your brand, and there's not one comment on that video from 8,000 views. I'm like, you're buying this stuff.
Yeah.
And anyway, so then we start doing this comparison. Well, he's got 40,000 followers and I have 6. Well, guess what? I will promise you, because I just saw someone the other day, that my business is making more money 100%. With a 10th of the followers, because they're real and they're customers. They're not bots or young kids in some foreign country who are scrolling through TikTok being entertained. And this instant gratification piece, the self-comparison piece, becomes a massive distraction, which in my opinion is the sole purpose of social media, is to distract humans from society, to be able to be controlled by corporate entities and potentially our government. By the way, I probably shouldn't have gone there. I just opened up a can of worms that
Oh no,
I have
brother,
to
don't
continue
worry.
on. But anyway, the secret is really simple. You want to get paid well, become a master at what you do. Get really good at it. And when people say you can do whatever you want and make money, no, you can do whatever you want if you're good at it and it provides value to someone else. And what I also don't like is when people say the word value, they don't understand what value really is. And value is solving problems. So get really good at being a problem solver for people. You'll make a boatload of money. It's that simple.
Yeah. Very Hormozy-esque, and that's all. Did you, by the way, you did outpace him? You did outsell him on that book?
We did. We reached
Wow,
the #1 bestseller.
that's awesome.
And yeah, it was crazy.
I can only imagine, brother. I'm a huge Hormozy fan, and I
You
just
know,
can only imagine. Good for you. Yeah, that's awesome, man. You're living the dream, brother. What's next? I mean, what else is there left?
a lot. I'm just getting started. I
I
got more
saw
books.
one hand, by the way. How do you make that work? I mean, my God, I can't imagine. I
So,
see a ring on your left hand finger.
oh yeah, I'm married.
I was just curious how that, I mean, because well, actually, you know what? She's very supportive. And you said you have 3 full-time jobs. I expected you to say 4 because it's somewhere in there. You got to find the time to, or unless do you
Yeah.
just travel together? I mean, how's that?
My wife's my business partner. She
There you
runs the
go. There you
operation
go.
while I'm gone. I
There you
wouldn't.
go.
My wife is my business partner. She's our VP and COO.
Okay.
She runs everything. I finally get to be in a visionary in leadership true role where I've got a team, and my wife runs the operations. My wife edited my book. She actually came from a technical editing background, which was great.
Wow.
She helped polish the turd that I initially wrote,
All
and
right.
she punted it back. And she's like, "I know you want to send this to print, but you got to rewrite the entire introduction." And I was like, "Damn it!" Although she was really way more. She's like, "I hate to bring this to you. I know you don't want to hear this news, but you got to do the rewrite because it sucks."
Uh, they always
So
have a
no,
way.
we are attached at the hip, basically, except for when I'm traveling.
Okay.
Except when I'm traveling. But you're dead right. I need to make. We were just talking about it. I need to make more time to live life and live life together, because it's some. And this is one thing I don't see eye to eye with Hormozy. I am a huge fan of his. And I think that I don't see eye to eye just because I'm not wired the same. It's not that I don't think he's a good person, but I don't want to work 6 days a week, 6.5 days a week like he does. Like, he takes great joy in all the work that he does. And I do too. But for me, I want more time to do free time stuff. I want to go run in the mountains. I want to go rip around on ATVs. I want to go sit on a beach and do nothing. I
Right.
want to sit and read a book.
Right.
I want to hang out and have coffee with my wife. I want to spend 3 hours in the kitchen because I can, cooking a meal because I love it. And I want to make more time in my life for that. So when you said, what do you have time for your wife? The answer is I do not have enough, and I need to make more. And that's one thing I'm working on here is
I love your transparency, man.
yeah.
It's important because you hear all those things like, oh, it is a job. It's a job, and it's a commitment. It's a partnership. And I really personally, I appreciate that, man, because even for myself, so I understand, I can only imagine. However, it is nice having her be there in the partnership side of things. And I'm trying to get mine. We tried it when we were dating, and then I was like, I don't think we're going to get married if we keep going down this. Maybe we'll revisit this business, including you in the business. But respect, brother. I really do. I'm looking forward to talking to you more in the future. What's your next upcoming event or anything that we can plug that we can get people out to?
Oh man, if you want to see where I'm speaking, you can go. If you're an OC contractor, unfortunately, all the events are invite only. So if you're an OC contractor, just Google OC contractor events. That's the publication list. That's public. Q1 will be listed here pretty soon. We just got those dates finalized internally. If you want to follow along on YouTube, go to the Roof Strategist. You'll find me on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Facebook are under my name, Adam Bensman. And if you want to join me at our event, it's members only. Pitch Pro Movement event will be in October, coming up next year here in Colorado. Venue still, when I say TBD, it'll likely be where we left off last time. But that'd be the place to do it. And then if you want to work with me more intimately and you're a good fit for our mastermind, which you'll know after I shared what it's about, you can join me in there on live interactive calls, live interactive sessions. Jump into our private app, ask questions. I put in little voice notes, coach people through stuff. But that'd be the best way to hang out. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy all the free stuff I give to the world to help you guys make a bunch of money and make your customers really happy.
Yeah, man. And I love that. And that's another hormosiism that I really love about you, man. And I'm trying to replicate because I admittedly guilty of not probably giving enough for free. I mean, I'm just being honest, but I'm trying to do a lot more of that. Like the secrets, right? Oh, I can't give that away. That's worth something, right? Like, come on, man. Who are you kidding? Right? Like, is it really yet? I don't know. So I appreciate you doing that because it helps me, brother. It sincerely does. Yeah. And again, by the way, that Instagram stuff, totally true. Hired someone to help me exclusively, was like, hey, look, I am not interested in like fake, that does nothing for me. And guess what happened, right? Like several thousand followers later, it's like one looking at the person following me and they have like 2 followers. I'm like, come on, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Total scam. And if you're listening to this, I still love you, man. But like, I was very clear. Like, come on, brother.
And it cracks me up too because all it is I shouldn't say all. That's not fair. It's not all. A lot of what it is other people who are hired agencies that they all have the same strategy. Find other pages that have your core audience, throw comments on there. So as people scroll through the comments, they see your page and click over and they throw the same things. Great video, the hand raise emoji, brilliant insight. Loved what you had to share. Love your content, bro. And it's just like, it's just some dude who knows where, who's paid to engage. And it's not organic. And when you know what you're looking for, you're going to see it on so many pages. And everyone just again, we're in an attention economy and people are placing their value based on their social media following numbers. And dude, it drives me nuts. People are like, how many followers do you have? I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. I don't check every day. If it's important to you, go look.
Yeah. And how many real followers, right? Because you're absolutely right.
Is that they're real people that I'm actually helping.
I'll take 6,000 real people versus 90,000 nobody people.
Yeah. I'd take 100 real people.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Like, whatever. 100%. Your first 100's the hardest.
Yes. Oh yeah. Mine's overinflated right now by several thousand of just nobodies. And I'm candidly telling you that. I mean, look, I got, but I'm just now kind of making it out of that, man. It was like, what? What good is that? I just can't understand because you're right. It's an ego, I guess. But just from a purely business, like I just can't see, you know what I mean? Like, what does it do for you? It literally gets you, I don't know. But other than
optics.
Yeah.
It's like being the guy that just rolls up in the nice car. I like nice cars, by the way, but you know what I mean? Like,
yes, I know
the guy that pulls up at the conference and wants to valet his car for one purpose.
Yeah.
I want everyone to see the car I drove up in. We all know that guy.
Oh yeah. We know a couple of that guys.
Yeah, we all know a couple of those guys. So
Adam, brother, I thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully, man,
dude, thanks
for
having
again
me.
soon. This is awesome. Check out Adam's content. Check out his courses. Check him out. You said you're in Denver still, right?
Yeah, ish. I mean, close enough. I'm up
Colorado.
I'm in Colorado. I'm not a city guy. I live up in the mountains.
Colorado got one of a 2-year storm recently. Any truth to that?
Colorado got like 6 storms this year. Like
I got
roasted.
A guy of mine that's like, we got to get to Denver, and I'm like, I've heard, but we'll have to chat more about that, man.
Yeah, there's about 4 or 5. So, man,
there's been a major storms all over the world this year, the country this year, and of course, though. The second I go to move there, it's gonna be like, sorry, man, no more storms. Not this year, but a couple years. You know how it goes.
It's like jumping on a hot stop. Got in too late when it's going up, my friend. Got in too late, man. So.
But that's the beauty of being able to do retail. But Adam, thank you again, my brother, and we will catch you on the next one, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, man.